my intentions with these podcasts are always to bring in like-minded people, and today's episode was definitely one step closer to that. I sat down and spoke for a good 40 minutes to Kabir Singal. Kabir is doing some great things. Again, he was one of the guys that went to the CEO challenge at Masters Union, and he's essentially working towards improving the education system, like the traditional education, all that. You know, I'm actually very excited for you guys to see this episode because I know that it's going to be productive, and I know that there's a lot of things that you guys can pick up from this conversation. It's definitely not the last time that I have him on the show, and I'm glad that we collaborated because we thought about exciting things that we can do together in the future. So yeah, I mean, we're just looking to build a community around people like us so we can better this generation essentially. But wonderful episode. I hope you guys like it. Enjoy. First off, a lot of conversations with Kabir Singal. How are you doing, bro?
All good, man. How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you so much for taking your time today. How's life? How's everything going?
It's going well. So currently, I'm working on a lot of things. So first of all, in about a month, I'm going to be joining Masters Union. So I'm pretty
Good
excited for
stuff.
that.
Yeah.
And then secondly, I'm working on my business, which I'm sure you know about because we
Yeah.
talked
Yeah.
about.
That's why I called you here. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And third, I'm working on my research paper right now.
Research paper. How is that like? What exactly is a research paper?
So basically, a research paper is basically you take a certain prompt, something
Hmm.
that has not been widely researched about.
Hmm.
So my business, it's prompt statement. So we converted into a research paper prompt, right? So
Okay.
its topic is basically how isolation and social activities affect learning experiences and academics.
Okay. Is research boring? Like, is it boring as people as you like see it to be?
Not really. Like it actually does depend. See, I don't like to read a lot. That's why
Hmm.
I use services like Gemini and ChatGPT to just sum it down for
Hmm.
me.
Hmm.
But you do have to read a lot in research, which is boring. But
Okay.
but in research, there's always this period of creating a causal connection, like cause and effect.
Okay. And can
So
you explain a little bit
that
about that?
so basically, the topic that I stated, which is like how isolation lead, what effect does that have on learning, right?
Yeah.
So the cause is basically isolation. That is the reason, and then you will find couple more reasons about how isolation psychologically affects a student, and then the effect
Okay.
is the way that the kid studies.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
How do you? What sources do you said Gemini and ChatGPT? But are there like only limited sources that you use to research, or if you go deeper, there are more sources? How does that
So,
work?
for this top, so I've been working on this research paper for the last 3 months or so.
Okay.
So I've done both primary research and secondary research. See, if you
Hmm.
want to write a research paper of your own, it's better if you have primary research. So
Yeah.
what I did
Primary
was,
research is by yourself, right? Secondary research
yeah,
isn't the.
yeah,
Yeah.
primary by yourself.
Okay.
So what I did was I had a Google form, and then I went to schools. I went to my old tuition
Hmm.
classes, and I got
Okay.
students to fill it out in front of me, and then I got the responses.
That seems more fun than like just searching it up on
Yeah,
the internet.
yeah, definitely. It's easier.
Okay.
You know what you're exactly looking for. So yeah,
Hmm. Hmm. What else? What you said you're working on a business. Talk about that. Talk about your CEO challenge. Great episode,
right.
by the way.
I think the SEO challenge is like the only reason why people are like very like they know about me now.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So this basically the SEO challenge is this event or this competition hosted by Masters Union where I'm going to be going, and it happened 2 years ago also. So that was like the season one. The one that I
Yeah.
participated in was the season two.
Season two. Yeah.
So basically, there are like three rounds. And first one was like you had to submit a form,
Hmm.
right? So you had
Hmm.
to tell them about your idea, your basic
Hmm.
details, but majorly
Hmm.
you have to expand on why your idea is and what makes you, think about the facts, why it works for you. Second was you had to, so since the campus is in Gurgaon and I live in Gurgaon, so all I had to do was go to the campus, and that was like the second round. We had to pitch the idea in front of Swati and Pratham, which are the founders and
Okay.
under
Yeah.
directors.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
after that we got the like whoever made it into the cut got a confirmation that you're in for the finals. And then we just made our like final pitch about how we're going to present it in front of Ankur Variku, Sarthak Ahuja, and Shlok.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay. And
And then
then that
and then
experience must have been great.
definitely it's opened up a lot of avenues for me. Like my LinkedIn has actually grown so much in the last 3 months simply because of that. and my confidence, my self-esteem has also grown. But the most important thing is that I got validation that my idea works in the market.
Hmm. Hmm. What
So
is
which
your
is
idea?
so problem यही आती है India में, which is that how high school students, 11th and 12th grade students, so you've been through that. You're also the same age I am. You're also in college, so you get the struggle that boards are like the ultimate deciding factor for parents,
Correct.
right? It's the way that a student proves their essential worth in India,
Correct.
right?
Correct. Correct.
So what I did was I isolated myself for 6 to 7 months just to score well in the boards. But
Hmm.
that sort of thing is not a good thing because it mentally ruins you. It makes you feel like you're not important, and it psychologically is very complex for you.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
I thought that because I never had friends who wanted to study, right?
Hmm.
So I
Hmm.
was like, a lot more people have to be going through this problem.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what I am making is a platform where, for example, let's say if you and I, we have the same stream, we both are suffering in accounts, we don't understand this certain point. We can go on this platform, we can join the room in which we're doing questions, we're understanding this, and it's all peer to peer. There are no teachers, no
Okay.
intermediaries involved. Because
Interesting.
I feel like teachers, honestly, you have to have a different persona in front of teachers. You have to be
Yeah.
more coiffed, more like मैं
Yeah.
अच्छा बच्चा
Yeah.
types. So
And there's also a
basically,
communication barrier, right? A student would know how to explain to a student better because they essentially speak the same way. They communicate the same way. There's a lot of informality to how they talk.
I mean, it's literally the
Yeah.
same thing, man. Like when we talked on LinkedIn, we
Yeah.
were like,
Yeah.
let's talk on
Yeah.
WhatsApp so
Let's
that it's a
WhatsApp. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
the same way.
And you learn much better through, we all have that one friend that we study from 5 minutes before the exam, and
Yeah,
through
yeah,
him we learn
definitely.
more than what we learned the entire year.
That
So
is very
yeah,
accurate. I was that friend for some people. So
exactly.
I love
Okay.
that. We also offer two more services, which is like, first we give like content. So we also, what I noticed was कि if you were, so right, that हमें books दे देते हैं and they
Hmm.
tell कि बेटा ये chapter है, इसको पढ़ लो. That's all they
Hmm.
do.
Hmm.
Right? We have to be the ones who scour for resources, go on Amazon, talk to people. But I am trying to make the best resources with questions, with content that I try to do myself, and then I'll publish it on the platform. Because I feel like content ka issue hai India mein.
Okay.
You know,
Okay. Content का issue या good content का issue, like
good
quality
content,
content का issue?
quality
Okay.
content. You're right. Yeah, quality ka content ka
Yeah.
to issue hai.
Okay. Okay. And this brings me to my sort of next question. How do you understand or come up with a good idea? How do you think you come up with a good idea? Is that experiencing it yourself, seeing it around you, empathizing? Tell me your thoughts.
Okay, so see, this is like obviously my perspective on how you, if you want to become an entrepreneur, if you want to have like the next big idea, so that's how you. So what you do is, so as you mentioned, the best ideas come from your own personal experiences.
Yeah.
अगर कोई और आके बंदा मेरे को बोलेगा कि bro, I'm suffering from this problem, I might believe him, but that's not going to be my thinking, right? So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
I am creating this platform because I was not able to study. I was alone,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
you can come up with like, so everybody goes through a certain problem that they would like to fix,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
So you can always keep listing down the ideas or the problems that you have. But
Hmm.
where I feel the biggest problem is the gap where people have a good idea but they fail. Is हो सकता है कि तुम्हारे पास अच्छा idea होगा,
Hmm.
but what people assume is कि just because I am going through it, everybody is going through it.
Okay.
The
Okay.
fact is
How
the
do you
market.
tackle that?
So the market, that's what I was coming
Hmm.
to. So
Hmm.
main चीज है तुम्हें भाई, let's say कि मेरा जो platform है, right, this is a platform for high school, for
Hmm.
kids who are from 9th to 12th. अब भाई अगर मैं चाहता हूँ कि बच्चे यूज करें तो मेरे को बच्चों के पास जाके पूछना पड़ेगा ना भाई, अगर ऐसा कुछ होता तुम इसको इस्तेमाल करोगे.
Okay.
The same way, if you think you have a good idea, you got to get it validated in the market. Because
Product market fit. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay. Okay. What my thoughts are that people have good ideas, but I just feel that somewhere people fail to come up with the best solutions to that. Do you agree?
so I think you're right, but
Hmm.
it's so the thing is, people, what they do is, so what I've seen at least and what I've heard from my professors is, what people do is they come up with a solution,
Hmm.
right, and then they come up with a problem statement when it's
Hmm.
supposed to be the other way around.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can't mix match the process.
Yeah. Yeah. One of my mentors was just telling me that creating the best product 60% of the time is just spent identifying and understanding the problem. The 60%, that's a huge margin. So 60% is just understanding the problem, and then you empathize, and then you find a solution. and you iterate on that. So yeah, man, I think understanding the problem is the key. Yeah.
It
Yeah.
is it is always the key. It is always the key. Like you know how like some people जोश में they're like कि bro मैं तो ये बना दूंगा.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
let's say it might be a good product. It
Hmm.
might be a good idea. But
Hmm. Hmm.
who are you going to give it to, right? You have to
Yeah.
see ना कि problem तो exist करती है economy में या market में.
Yeah. 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 You told me that you wanted to speak a little bit about rural education in India, a problem that our country is facing a lot. Go ahead, tell me what you think, and I'll pitch in.
So this is a topic that I've actually thought about a lot.
Okay.
So basically, when I was in 12th, I had eco as a subject, and
Okay.
we
Yeah.
had Indian eco, and उसमें हमने पढ़ा था something known as HCF, which is
Hmm.
human capital formation.
Capital formation. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But when you're a student and you're reading stuff like that, now you actually understand that education is actually very important for a country.
Agreed.
We are
Agreed.
the
Yeah.
most we are the most heavily populated country in the world. We've surpassed China. But the problem still remains कि लोग educated ही नहीं है. we
Okay.
are we
Yeah.
people like us, I'm very grateful for where I am. I've been given a lot, but not everybody is like us.
Hmm.
99% of the population is living
Hmm.
in a bad condition or in rural places where the solutions or the conditions are not available for them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the biggest problem
Yeah.
is that when people are educated, they move the country forward. The country moves forward because of these people.
Hmm.
So now the
Hmm.
problem is that people are not literate enough. That is the problem. The biggest problem is, like just say right to education act.
Hmm.
It says kids from 6 to 14 पढ़ाई करेंगे. But the
Hmm.
problem is it implemented? Is it implemented to the grassroots level? It's not.
Not. Okay. It's not.
So
Yeah.
that's the problem. So if the country wants to move forward, it cannot unless money is actually put into the education system.
Okay. Do you think there's a problem in the quality of education even at the rural level, or do you think that we must first focus on the just education being put out to them?
So I think first we should focus on education को standardize करो. Put it out
Okay.
everywhere. Because if
Yeah.
the institutions, the buildings or the conditions are not even available, quality will not be able to come वैसे भी. Right?
Hmm.
So पहले
Hmm.
तो you need to put the places, the schools, the buildings where education can happen. Then the
Okay.
quality, obviously, it's not that good. But
Yeah. Yeah.
again, the country will have to put a bit more effort into that.
Yeah. So there's like there's a lot of potential, is what you're trying to say. There's so much potential. And I think our future generation should help more of this part of India. This rural part of India that's being untouched for so many decades now.
Definitely. My main thing is so basically this is where this comes from. So my mom and I, we go to the fruit shop like every other week.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
there is this kid, right? And he's like
Hmm.
14 years old. He's
Hmm.
cutting coconuts for us for the coconut water. And we can see कि भाई ये बच्चा suffer कर रहा है. Like this kid can at least learn basic English, can at least learn basic math. We're not telling him to learn calculus to the highest level or
Yeah.
English
Yeah.
proficiency. We're telling him
Yeah.
to form basic sentences. That's it.
Yeah.
But problem
Yeah.
is कि बच्चों को opportunity मिल ही नहीं रही है.
Correct. Correct. How do we solve that? We solve that by making education accessible. I think the internet has done that to a huge, like Geo and all that has done that to a large extent, right?
Yeah, so they've really मतलब geo. So the best part about internet is कि education is much more accessible. But the
Yeah.
problem still exists कि ना education तो है, but education is also fragmented in India. अगर 9th या 10th का कोई syllabus है, वो syllabus is the way it is intact. Just because people are giving education, but अब तुम खुद देखो, let's say there's a rural kid somewhere in the country. He only has a phone, right? Nothing
Hmm.
else. Now that kid wants कि मैं 10th के boards at least pass तो कर लूं.
Yeah.
He can't
Yeah.
pass it if he can't find the proper resources at the right time.
Hmm.
Right?
Okay.
So
Okay.
but that's
Okay.
what I want कि when I make my platform, I will
Hmm.
give my platform to these children जहाँ पे we will put on APIs for language translation and we will give it on discount to these children or maybe for free कि भाई तुम पढ़ो, मुझे इशू नहीं है, तुम पढ़ो. Because then we'll have the resources, the perfect CBSE resources in place. जो
Okay.
अभी नहीं है.
Okay. When you go out and build apps like this, does execution pose a challenge? Do you find it
Like
extremely hard to execute?
like the construction of the platform.
Yeah. So let's say you have a beautiful idea, but you need to execute it. Hard, very hard. How difficult is that?
I am currently in the midst of getting the product developed, and it is the hardest thing I've ever had to face. Like I'm going to be so honest
Okay.
right now.
Okay.
Like
Okay.
भाई
Let's be raw. Yeah.
जिन लोगों को लगता है ना कि आइडिया मिल गया, but development तो हो जाएगी.
Hmm.
Not easy at all. Not easy at all.
Hmm.
Like I am not a very patient individual. I've learned to be patient because by the fact is requirements को develop करना, phases में divide करना, exactly बताना developer को, because obviously the developer can't just imagine whatever's in your head. No,
Yeah, yeah.
you have to draw it into his head. You have to imprint it into his head कि देखो, I want this to the minutest detail. So
Okay.
development, मतलब it's going well, but it's
Hmm.
taking much more time than what I thought. So
Okay.
execution right now is a bit difficult. मतलब है तो.
Do you wake up every day with the motivation, or does that not? Sometimes it's just like I don't want to do it.
Sometimes I don't want to do it. I really don't want
Okay.
to do it.
Okay.
Like
Yeah. Yeah.
I love
Respectable.
my
Yeah.
idea. I love my idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
see, motivation, the way I see it is motivation. If you as a person just rely on motivation pushing you, तो नहीं हो पाता भाई. नहीं हो पाता. You
Hmm.
really just have to.
Hmm.
Sometimes when I'm not motivated, I just sit down. जितना हो पाता है ठीक है. But I
Hmm.
don't really try to push myself honestly because
Okay.
sometimes you're able to, sometimes you're not. It's as simple.
And I think it's that inner sort of drive that only pushes you, right? External motivation only lasts for 48 hours. It's a very famous saying. It's like
Yeah.
external motivation lasts for 48 hours. After that, it's just you pushing yourself. It's like, where do you see yourself in the future? And are you working towards that? I think that's a huge, yeah.
Yeah, that's a huge factor for like whoever wants to motivate themselves. Like they need to keep asking themselves like, where do you see yourself in a year? Like if you want to
Yeah.
be there where you
Yeah.
want to be, you
Yeah.
gotta work.
Yeah. Yeah. How is Gurgaon as a place?
So I like Gurgaon a lot.
Okay.
I feel like it's getting rapidly developed and
Hmm.
it's changing very, like it's even rapidly changing. So मुझे ये अच्छा लगता है that there are, so I'm a foodie. I really like food.
Hmm.
So there are a lot of good places in Gurgaon to eat. But I feel
Okay.
like Gurgaon ka bhi na, so Gurgaon can be divided in two parts. One is the urban part of Gurgaon, but there's also a rural part of Gurgaon.
Okay.
So when my platform gets developed, my plan was not to only hit the urban part, but to give emphasis on the rural part of Gurgaon because I feel like वहाँ पे I can make a difference for education much more.
They needed the most. Yeah. They needed more than the urban people, right?
So see, urban के लिए this platform is going to be like a subsidiary thing. Like
Yeah.
we're using this platform just because हमें extra resources चाहिए या फिर we want
Yeah.
extra marks, extra precision.
Yeah.
For rural
How do you? Hmm. Okay. Continue. Sorry.
no हो गया.
How do you sort of make? How do you make money from this app? If I were to put it simply.
So basically, we have the content, we have
Hmm.
the platform, we have like the rooms through which you can meet other people, and
Hmm.
we have a tracking system in place which will track how many hours you've studied or how many tests you've done, how much you've scored in those tests. So it's going to be a bundle package. We're gonna price it according to one subject.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So in the beginning, obviously for testing purposes and all, it's going to be free. But obviously, when we have to monetize it, it's going to be a bundle that if you buy the accounts package, you get everything.
Okay. How has Ankur helped you? Or like, let's just talk about him for a bit because I mean, great personality. I wish I meet him one day. You've had the opportunity to get funded by him, which is brilliant. So, how is he as a person? How much has he helped you?
So he's an amazing guy. मतलब, what I really admire about him is his marketing. मतलब,
Hmm.
I've
Agreed.
heard a lot of things from people, but the best thing I like about him is his marketing technique. Like the moment he's on your screen, even if you don't want to watch the ad or the promo,
Yeah,
you will,
exactly. You will.
because
You don't know
he
why,
makes
but you will. Yeah.
he makes it so baity in a good way. He makes it
Yeah.
real.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Like,
he has helped a lot for me to
hmm.
understand, how the business process goes. But the main benefit that he will probably give me is that once the product is developed, then my next thing will be hitting up schools and
Okay.
children. Right?
Hmm.
So my plan is to go to Ludhiana and Karnal, tier 2 cities, because over there I feel like this product will be a main product, a primary way for students to study. So I
Okay.
really hope that when I contact Uncle telling him, the product is ready, I've taken your advice and all, he'll really assist me with, connecting with schools and children and all, and obviously promotions.
That's great. I hope your product does well. I'm looking forward to it. Um,
Yeah.
let's talk a little bit about the people of our age who want to be like us. Do you think there are platforms in India that promote entrepreneurship? We have a lot of e-cells and all that. But let's say there's like, I'm sure there's a huge community of people like us who want to do something different other than education. Do you think there's
Um,
like enough content in it, like places in India to go?
See, I'm very sure. I mean, like, we've already talked about this,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I'm very sure that India में हमारे जैसे बहुत बच्चे हैं, who want to make it big, who want to
Yeah.
do much more than they're being given right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I feel like problem is कि, I feel that the problem is Instagram. मेरा जो campus आता है, so I don't use Insta. Like I logged in today after 8 months.
Hmm,
It was deactivated.
hmm,
I'm only using Insta just to connect with my peers or to be peers
hmm,
in a
hmm,
masters union. But I
hmm,
hate Insta. I hate it
hmm.
with a passion. Like trust me.
Okay.
Like Instagram will tell you that भाई drop shipping is like a 5 minute का काम. आप भी कर सकते हो. Click in the link below and get like $1,000 like just like this. See the
Bro,
thing is the
that whole trend was so. I don't understand where people got drop shipping from. Everyone was doing it. Everyone was. Oh my God, it
yeah,
was
exactly, you get it.
crazy. Yeah,
You get it.
yeah.
So that's the problem. See, that's the problem that I understand. Yeah. First of all, I am sure there are children like us, but what people right now don't understand is building anything of quality takes time.
Yes.
When you and I are also trying, when we will do something, or if I'm building my platform or you're doing something of your own, we know it's gonna take time. Things don't
Yeah,
just miraculously happen.
yeah, yeah,
Like I got
yeah.
this from a lot of people because like the thing was I only started studying properly in 12th.
Hmm,
Right? I didn't
hmm,
study in 11th and all.
hmm.
So what I got from people when my video from the CEO challenge was released was कि भाई तेरा तो सही है, तूने क्या बस एक दिन काम किया, आइडिया सोचा, वीडियो दे दी and now you're like famous. I don't understand कि मैंने आइडिया कब एक साल पहले सोचा, struggles कब देखे, how much work I put in. So people just look at the outer picture, they're like इसका तो सही है भाई, immediate success मिल गया इसको.
What's a day in Kabir Singal's life look like right now?
So right now it's basically on my productive days.
Hmm,
I usually wake up at 6. Okay,
hmm.
I'm trying to train for this marathon type of thing. So uski
Yeah.
training होती है सुबह
Great.
for 1 hour. And then I come home, I sleep for an hour. I have breakfast, and then I just start working honestly because I have the research paper that I have to complete. I'm heavily working on the platform and getting it developed, trying to refine the idea. And then I'm also trying to, मतलब, increase my reach on LinkedIn.
Okay.
So
Okay.
isme, and then I'm also trying to like study maths and everything just to keep up with the times, because once I start college, I don't want to be like, oh, I haven't studied after school. So I'm trying to
Hmm.
study tech, this, that. So I'm trying to stay on top of everything. So the day usually just goes by.
When you're working, let's talk about micro productivity hacks. When you're
Hmm.
working, phone aside, how are you like? How do you get in the zone?
So what I do is, so recently I've started using the Pomodoro technique. I'm sure you know what it is.
Okay, 25/5, right?
Yeah, 20.
25/5.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
But what I do is, so it's very distracting, obviously, because like phone की हमें आदत है, हमेशा
Hmm.
वैसे तो हम रखते हैं.
Hmm.
So what I try to do is I always just throw my phone in some place in the house, फेंक
Hmm.
देता हूँ, ringer off कर देता हूँ, and then I just start to study with the Pomodoro technique. Usually
Hmm.
it's effective for 2 to 3 hours, but then after
Hmm.
that I become a bit lethargic. Honestly, I really
Okay.
do.
Okay. But like, how, as a generation, how can we solve this problem of us just getting lazier and lazier? Because Instagram is killing us. That's the truth. Like, we're all like committing suicide from it. Our attention span has gone down massively. We're
Yeah.
becoming less productive. How when resources are increasing, when opportunities are increasing, our sort of morale is going lower and lower. How do we solve that?
I really don't think there is a way to solve it. Like I know it sounds very pessimistic,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
honestly, when there are corporations like Instagram, Snapchat, this, that,
Yeah. Yeah.
which basically earn money through our bad
You
attention
are.
span.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So there's not really any way to fix it. Like when I tell people कि मैं Insta इतना नहीं use करता, आजकल तो it's such an exception to tell people that. Like
Exactly. Exactly.
they
Yeah.
look at me कि तू अजीब है क्या? Like I don't like to use it. It's very fake. It's very, it's not authentic.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't think it can be solved. I really don't think it can be solved.
So, like, are you suggesting that like this is the beginning of the end? Like, do you have hope for this generation? Because there's a lot of people like us. There's a lot of people like us.
I'm sure there are, but see, I'm sure, but see, the thing is that I've not met a lot of people like us. I've really not,
Okay.
and I've tried to
Okay.
socialize. See, LinkedIn अलग बात है,
Hmm.
ठीक है? But
Hmm.
पता है बात ये है कि ना, see, this generation actually is a bit. मतलब this is like the wrong time for everything, man. Like if you see, like social media is the root of the problem.
Hmm.
Like it's not that I am a pessimistic or a negative individual. It's just that that's the truth. We do not have a lot of attention span. We don't have the ability to study for long hours. We don't have the ability to work and grind. मैं ये नहीं बोल रहा कि my productivity is amazing. It's not.
Same.
ठीक है,
Same.
मेरे
Yeah. Yeah.
कभी कभी नहीं होता काम. But
Yeah.
the thing is, I have the willingness to at least try. जो भी आजकल नहीं है लोगों में.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
sure there are people like us, but this epidemic of kids up. If you see, like I joined Insta when I was in 10th. I am
Hmm.
seeing people who are in 6th grade, 5th grade having Insta, and they tell me मैं तो पूरा दिन वहीं पे बिताया. तुम भाई 5th में हो, जाके क्रिकेट खेलो. Like why are you on Insta?
Yeah. Yeah.
I really don't get it.
It's okay, but then again, right? A lot of like our elders and people tell us that, oh, this generation is getting a lot smarter. At they know more at 14 than we ever knew at 14. So then there's this other dilemma of, oh, do we actually like know a lot, or is the world just changing too quickly? Like, these are things that I keep thinking about a deeper
No,
level.
bhai, bro, my dad literally says the same thing. कि, beta, you're so knowledgeable, you know so much more right now. मेरे को तो कब कुछ नहीं पता होता था.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
see, okay, so the truth is, देखो, Instagram पे, when I used to be on it properly, tell me this, didn't we get every possible news from Insta?
We did.
If Trump
Yeah.
got shot, I am very sure people got to know about it from Insta and its memes
Yeah.
rather than
Yeah.
from actual sources.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
That
not that,
photo. Yeah.
like that you know the photo, like you know
Yeah.
the photo.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's not like we're knowledgeable. It's just that Instagram has all either यही होता है कोई बड़ी न्यूज होता है या फिर उसका मीम बन जाता है या फिर कोई उसको पोस्ट कर देगा इंस्टा पे and that's how we get to know about it.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Um, is the world getting easier to make money? Is it easier to make money according to you? Like as we go further and further, like deep dive into technology, as new advancements comes up, advancement comes up.
I think there are like two sides to this,
Hmm.
this perspective because
Hmm.
एक way में है because
Hmm.
as the world is evolving we need people with different type of specialization skills. अब
Yeah.
जैसे social media पे proficient होना content creation, nobody thought that this would be a skill like 20 years ago,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But you
Yeah.
need this now. You need this now,
Hmm.
right? You need this now.
Everyone
So
needs to have a social media presence. Yeah.
मेरे डैड
Yeah.
ने मेरे को पहली चीज बोली थी अपना लिंक्डइन बना. So you need to have like, so I feel like it is easier to make money in some fields. Obviously you have to be good at that field, but
Okay.
comparatively the total amount of hard work that you put in some fields it's easier than others. Like
Yeah.
so when I was like trying to research for my research paper, what I also delved into was कि जो tech वाले लोग होते थे, if you see the stats, they used to earn like half of what consultants or business people or
Yeah.
management earn. But now
Yeah.
it's at par or more.
Than the management and the consultants.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Okay.
definitely हर चीज का एक टाइम होता है. थोड़े फील्ड जैसे जो इन्फ्लुएंसर्स होते हैं, मुझे लगता है it's not an easy thing to be an influencer. ठीक
Yeah.
है? But the amount of work that you have to put into becoming an influencer is comparatively easier to just giving the UPSC. है ना भाई?
Correct.
अब किसी को
And
अगर
that's why the world is evolving, and people should catch that trend. And I feel like
भाई
we aren't really doing it in India.
they're really not. Like भाई I'll be very honest about IIT. ठीक है? My mom proposed to me the idea of IIT when I was in 7th. उन्होंने बोला था कि
Okay.
IIT बहुत अच्छा है. ठीक है? I have seen a lot of my friends who've studied, burning the midnight oil and all for this. What I believe is IIT जैसे institutions अच्छे हैं, but it's not worth the mental duress.
Agreed. Yeah. Yeah.
ठीक है? It's really not worth it. तुम मतलब बच्चों को भाई 6th, 8th, 9th से डाल देते हैं to study from Akash and these institutes, and then they tell कि इतनी percentage लाओ, ये लाओ, वो लाओ. भाई कितने, how many kids have suicided just because of IIT?
Just because they couldn't make it's like IIT is a good college, but it's not the only good college.
Exactly.
That's it.
Indians को
Yeah.
ये चीज नहीं समझ आती.
Yeah.
And that is the worst part of it. Like Indians को ये बात नहीं समझ आती.
Do you think it's like important right now to have a personal brand, no matter what you do, whatever field you're in?
Definitely.
Because like it's just that time, it's the social media era, and if you get influence, there's like infinite things that you can do with influence, bro.
हाँ
Influence is the
मतलब
ultimate power.
आज के दिन में तो bro influence is everything. मतलब it's never been easier to influence people. Never been easier.
Oh, that's a good. Yep. Yeah.
Like
It's never been
people-
easier because
मतलब people don't understand the power. मतलब लोगों को ना actually they can't grasp the power of social media. If you do it right, you can actually influence a lot of things.
Correct.
मतलब when I build my brand को पढ़ाई, उसकी आइडेंटिटी रहेगी इंपॉर्टेंट है, बट ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है कि कबीर सिंगल मार्केट में क्या है.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, yeah. We can take so many examples of how a personal brand has helped a company take new heights, literally scale, reach new
हाँ
levels.
भाई. अब जैसे we know Elon Musk, right,
Yeah.
obviously he's created a lot of successful organizations, but
Yeah.
भाई Elon Musk के जो नाम में वो power है,
Hmm. Hmm.
that's power, that's literal power to
Yeah.
do everything, power to influence, power to create.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why?
How does one build that power in today? Like today, how does one start building that power according to you?
Honestly, if you're starting from like the scratch, so it's basically how you translate yourself, right? Like जैसे अगर कोई personal brand बना रहा है, not like,
Hmm.
not in this case, the example that I'm giving is not of a personal brand but a brand.
Hmm.
Like this, I particularly love Duolingo. I think तूने भी देखा होगा
Yeah. Yeah.
probably.
Yeah. Yeah. The language one. Yeah. Yeah.
I love their memes. I literally
Hmm.
love their memes. They're the funniest piece of content a company puts out. A
Hmm.
company puts out. So what I
Hmm.
feel like
Hmm.
is कि you can build your brand in several ways, but it like reels हैं, posts हैं, LinkedIn है, but it all matters in the way that you do it. If you obviously, अब जैसे social media पे भी there are certain trends every month, right? No matter how bad those trends are, but there are trends,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And if you
Yeah.
want to make a brand, first of all, you need to catch on to those trends and attach what you want to put out onto the platform. That's what I feel like. That's how you exploit like social media, like and have a
Okay.
brand.
Do you think it's necessary to sort of be niche specific that I will only put finance related content? That's my specialty. If someone says Mithil, they relate me with finance. If someone says Kabir, they relate them with business or management, anything like that.
See, the thing is, I mean, I really don't have an answer to this. So when you're young, I feel like एक certain image अपनी होनी चाहिए.
Hmm.
Like
Hmm.
जैसे like the best example is Sharan with finance.
Finance, yeah,
उसके
yeah.
उसके literal नाम में है what you associate with him. Like आप कोई बोलता है भाई शरण आ रहा है, you know बंदा finance का है.
Hmm. Hmm.
So that's the thing. So अगर तो in the beginning of your career, you should definitely have a niche to you, because nowadays a business requires everything. You need organizational management, you need a social media team, you need a HR team. So it's important for you to have a certain identity to yourself.
Yeah, yeah. Um, what other business lessons that have you learned that you think that other people like me or like ourselves, that community should pick up on? Like, is there something that you would like to give?
Okay, so the only like, so I think the only advices I can give is that, first of all, idea जो है, that idea should come out from you.
Okay,
Don't take
okay.
others' words on it. Like your friend, if they say, I wish there was like a product in the market which could sweep and water the plants together.
Hmm. Hmm.
Just because he's saying it doesn't mean it's going to work. Yeah.
Hmm.
Second is
Okay.
validating your idea in the market. That is like by far the most important phase of business, which people ignore, because what we learned was psychologically because of their ego, because they feel that they need to be right.
Hmm.
So वो क्या
Hmm.
करेंगे, आइडिया को लॉन्च कर देंगे, they'll put all the money into it, and
Hmm.
then they find out, oh, the market never wanted it in the first place.
Do you think it's possible to start a business with almost zero capital in 2024?
It depends. See, if you are, see, it really depends. So if you are techie yourself, if you know
Hmm.
how to code, right, then I think you can.
Okay.
But you need a bit amount of capital. Like अगर 10,000 भी हैं, तुम उसमें
Hmm.
बहुत कुछ कर सकते हो.
Okay. Okay.
मतलब, yeah.
How much does it normally take for a tech guy to come in and build an app? Like, can you talk a little bit about pricing in the industry?
So the pricing, so as I had mentioned, price, मतलब tech pricing तो अभी is at a good amount of rate. अगर
Okay.
जैसे like this platform that I'm getting built, अगर मैं
Hmm.
इसको 10 साल पहले बनवाता, probably half the cost that it's taking.
Okay.
So the thing is, right now it is taking money. So what I feel is, if I learned how to code, it would be much better.
Hmm.
If I learned
Okay.
to code, because the
Okay.
prices are actually wild.
Hmm.
Matlab, if
Can you give
we,
me a number?
I couldn't give you a number, but it is, matlab, like agar you're getting a platform built like mine, it ranges from 6 to 10.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So
And okay. Interesting. After you sort of and it doesn't sort of work,
hmm.
how do you sort of deal with that? How do you sort of deal with it not working or not getting the numbers you were expected to get? Do you pivot? Do you ideate? Do you go reach out for help?
So what you ideally do is, if you don't get the intended results, so what you do is कि पहले तो, so right now when I build the platform, it's going to be an MVP. right? So
Meaning?
I'm gonna minimum viable product,
Okay.
which is basically this is only for testing. So
Okay.
let's
Like
say
a beta version.
a beta version, right? It's gonna
Yeah.
look the
Yeah.
same way. It's gonna have almost the same functionalities. This is when, let's say, if I'm going to where I studied from, Heritage School. If I
Hmm.
go there and I
Hmm.
tell the kids, "Ki bhai, listen, I have this platform. Just use it for half an hour and tell me whether you guys would use it or not." Right?
Okay.
Based on the results of that school, you can understand the thought process and the feedbacks that they give. After that, if it works, then you stay on the same path. Otherwise, you pivot.
Hmm. Hmm.
So having an MVP is extremely important.
Okay. Okay. Oh, okay. 40 minutes of great conversation. Do you have any sort of like, how do you feel? How was this? How was this experience?
It was really good. Like this is gonna be like the
Yeah.
first of many. This is gonna be the
Yeah.
first
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
many.
Yeah, and I feel like we'll have so many more sort of niches to uncover. We can talk about different niches. We can talk about what's going on in the business world. We can talk about cool ideas that are trending right now and what are our thoughts on it. And I feel like that have like we'd have great stuff to produce, right?
Yeah,
And you know, if we can sort of build a community of people like us, that community we were talking about, I feel like we'd be doing great service to the country because there's a lot of hidden people there, and we just need to bring them out.
करेंगे bro, करेंगे.